Oh, hey y'all, Fat Man Outdoors. Hey, if you liked the video, click that like button and click subscribe so that you'll get notifications whenever we post new content. Appreciate you watching. This is the Fat Man. I'm gone. Hey y'all, Fat Man Outdoors. I'm going to show y'all how I set up a float rig for catfish as fast as I can. I'll try to do this as quick as possible. Excuse me for sticking my ugly mug in the camera, but I needed to get a hold of this piece of fishing line that I accidentally let go of. This is 12-pound monofilament. It's green. That's what I like to use. Now what I'm going to use is I'm going to use these little jokers. You ever see these before? These are bobber stoppers. This is something in this whole deal that I didn't get off Temu. These I got off of eBay, or no, sorry, Amazon. Got like 1,000 of them. Of one size for $2 and something. It wasn't very much at all, and they work real good. But all you got to do is you just stick your line through one of the eyes on this thing, and of course you have to be able to see to do that, you know. And not only am I fat, but I'm also blind, so sometimes that's not easy to do without the right backstop. Maybe we got it that time. Yeah, we got it that time. Now here's something that I do that a lot of people might not do. I think it's important. Right off the bat, wet that. I don't want no more friction in that system than I have to have, because the less friction that I can put directly into that little bobber stop, and I'll wet it again and when I'm moving it, and try to keep my fingers wet on it, so when I slide it up the line, I'm not going to create any more moisture than I have to. And most time when I get to the lake, I'll sit down at the edge of the boat, drop it in the water, and actually adjust it to the depth in the water, or let some line out and then reel the line back up and do it. And that way you've got a wet line you're working with, and that's going to reduce your friction. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bead on. Okay? Now this little bead is going to be what stops the float from going up the line once it reaches the depth you set it to. So, and again, not only am I fat, but I'm also blind. Maybe one of you viewers that enjoy watching the channel has got one of those little magnifying lights you see people attached to a desk or something. You want to donate, that'd be nice. I could use that, and I'd really, really appreciate it. But if you don't, that's cool too. Okay, now we got our bead on. So now the bead, when the float comes up the line, is going to push the bead up to the stop, and that's as far as it's going to go. When it gets to that stop, you can see there's the stop right there. When the bead comes up, it hits that stop, that's as far as it's going to go. Then you're going to be fishing at that depth. Okay, now the next thing we're going to put on, one of my handy dandy, I made them floats with hot glue. Them things is hard as a rock. You ain't never going to damage one of them once that glue gets cold. Just start it down through there, and you guys can look this up. It's one of my earlier videos. Kind of what sparked me to create the channel, because a lot of folks had seen me make those floats, and it had got me to make floats for them, friends and family members, and said, you know, you ought to show people how to make them, because I didn't ever sell them. I ain't about that. Alright, got the line all the way through. There's a line coming out the other end, and again, the float hits the water and it goes up and it contacts the bead, and then the bead contacts the bobber stop, and that's as far as the float can go. Then you're going to fish at that depth, whatever you got it set to. Okay, so now we've got our sinker on. So the next thing I'm going to put on is another bead. And you say, now wait a second, why are you putting another bead on? And not only am I putting on another bead, but I'm putting on a special bead. It's a rubber bead. The reason I put that bead on was to protect the knot that's going to be in this barrel swivel I'm putting on. This is a 70-pound barrel swivel. And I don't put it on so I can get 70-pound worth of strength. I put it on, that big one on, so that I get a better chance of nothing ever failing with the swivel as far as helping me to protect my line from getting all rolled up. I'm sorry I'm taking so long. It's just really hard for me to see this. Maybe someday my optometrist will figure out my eyeglasses. I don't know. But anyway, got to run through the bottom loop. Just come back up. Some people go through the eye of the thing that you're tying around again. I don't necessarily do that. I just come back up and go through the eye in the line with the tag in. Get a hold of it. Always wet these monofilament knots, because if you don't, you'll pay a price. Pull her down. Good knot strength. Clip off that tag in. I like to leave about 1/4 of an inch sticking out. Some people cut them right up against the knot. You can, doesn't matter. Alright, now so we've got our bobber stop. We've got a bead. We've got our float. We got our sinker. We got another bead. And we got our barrel swivel. Now watch what happens when I drop this sinker. See it bounce? That rubber bead absorbs all the impact of that sinker hitting that knot, so you don't have to worry about beating the knot to death on your barrel swivel, and that'll really protect your line when you're fighting a good sized fish. Now the next thing I'm going to use, trying to go quick here so I don't keep y'all all day, my leader. And I'm going to use a 25-pound test monofilament. This is green solar collector trilene. I'm just going to tie it right to the barrel swivel with again with a improved clinch knot. In this monofilament and these bigger size lines, the clinch knot, man, they're hard to beat. You know, there's a lot of good knots. There's probably 50 good knots you could tie in this, I guess. I don't know if there's 50, but there's a bunch. But I'll just be honest with you, improved clinch knot it's easy to tie. In this big line, it's super strong. You ain't gonna lose no strength. There you go, got that. So now we got our leader. I got about, I don't know, probably 18 inches of leader out there. Now what I want to do is, this one will tie on my hook. Important part right here, probably the most important part of the whole deal, is hook choice. Alright, when you're fishing a vertical presentation like under a float or just fishing down off the boat but not on the bottom, if a catfish comes up, they'll take the bait, turn and go straight down. Okay, so what you want is a hook that you can set into the fish power wise. Okay, when you're fishing with a presentation where the baits land on the bottom, the catfish will just swim up, take the bait and swim off, then you want a hook like a circle hook that's going to come over and get a high ratio in the corner of their mouth. With this J hook, it'll work much better on a vertical presentation than you will with a hook that's a circle hook. You want to use the J hook when you're doing a vertical presentation. And this one is an offset, and it's short shanked. As you can see, it's a pretty good size hook, but it's not got a real long shank. I like that because then I can get most of the hook hidden in the bait in case you got finicky fish, or if you're in an area where there's been a lot of people fishing and fish may have been hooked a time or two and they're on to the game. But here's what we're going to do. This is how we're going to put it on. This may be, well, it's one of the most important parts. Tie the right knot and it'll help you set the hook. I'm going to take the point side of the hook and face toward the line. Then I'm going to go through the eye, and then I'm going to come down to about the depth I want to get above my swivel, and I'm going to make a loop. Now I'm going to go through that loop with the line, oh, I don't know, 3 or 4 times, 5 times maybe, and just when you pull the strand through, just hold it between your finger and your thumb like that, and that way you ain't got to worry about it coming undone. And I'll show you what I meant when I said this will help you a whole lot on a hook set, doing it exactly the way I did. Alright, so now I've went through that about 5 times. I'm going to pull that up. Now you talk about a snail knot, man. That is a snail knot. Alright. Now, on a J hook, see how that's hanging? Alright, that's exposing the entire point of that hook in front of the line. So anytime that you go to set this up, it's going, your finger's going to, the fish is always going to find that point of that hook, just about every single time. And this is a super duper duper strong knot, and it's very abrasion resistant, and it'll last forever. And again, it's another one of those deals. You can put drop of super glue on it if you want. You don't need to. But guys, that's what I wanted to show you today, was how I tie a float rig. Let me get this thing pulled up here and show you what the whole system now looks like. Man, I tell you what, everything this hook's touching, it gets hooked on it. Alright, so now we got the bobber stopper right there. Then the bead comes up and the float hits the bobber stopper. So that's as deep as you're going to fish. Now when it picks up, that's as far as it can travel. And we got 2-ounce egg sinker with a rubber bead. You can get rubber beads at Walmart, real cheap. A good size barrel swivel. Don't have to get the same size I got, but don't get a small one. Don't worry about the fish seeing it. He ain't going to be paying no attention to that. Leave yourself about 12 inches of line from your barrel swivel down to your hook. Tie that good snail knot. It's going to stay in position good, and it's going to be super strong and abrasion resistant, because it ain't going to have no knot to rub against. And get yourself a good J hook that's offset. Make sure you tie that hook the way I just showed you. Go in through the eye of the hook first, and it'll give you that trigger action, and it will cause that hook to spring. It'll give you that good trigger action, and you'll make a lot of hookups that you normally would not have. Guys, I appreciate y'all watching this video, and hope to see you in the next one. I hope to see you out there somewhere. This is Fat Man. I'm gone.